What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another review. This is Solo Level in episode 2. Let's get it. The episode starts off there in a panic. They're all wondering, what is this godlike statue? How do we get out of here? What's going to happen? And as everybody's panicking, Sung talks to the leader of the raid. He's talking to him and he notices that his arm is missing. But the leader says, hey, I'm all right. It'll be okay. I just grit my teeth. And so Sung wraps him up and takes care of his wounds. And as they sit there, they're trying to figure out a plan. What do they do next? And as they're thinking back to those commandments of this godlike statue. Those must revere God. Second, those must praise God. And the third one is, those shall show their faith to God. Moving along, so Sung is talking to the leader of the raid, and they're like, let's gather ourselves, let's calm down, and let's come up with an idea to defeat this godlike statue. And as soon as they say that, one of the other hunters, he got impatient. He's like, man, I'm running to the door. I got enough speed to get out of here. And so he dashes towards the door thinking that he can get to the door before the statue can get him. So Mr. Speedy Gonzalez tries to go towards the door and gets cooked. The godlike statue destroys him with an attack, leaving only his foot. How ironic. As they go into a slight panic, they're thinking to themselves, this thing is powerful. It's so strong. It can destroy us. It can squish us like a bug. It's so powerful. And Sung is wondering to himself, this thing is so powerful. Why hasn't it killed us all yet? And so he's thinking to himself, how can we defeat this thing? And he gets a light bulb in his head. He thinks back to the commandment. Those must revere God. And so as he's thinking of that commandment, he comes up with a plan. And as he walks towards the statue is going to attack him. And right as the statue is going to attack him, he bows his head. And to everybody's surprise, it doesn't attack him. The plan works. And that's when he tells everybody else, he says, bow down, bow your head to it. They're like, what? Bow your head? And so everybody bows their head, and the godlike statue doesn't attack them. But as they bow their head, it pans to the statue's eyes. And just when we thought it couldn't get freaky, the statue does an ominous grin. He does like a Joker grin. Oh my God. They're like, this thing is freaky, man. After a while, it doesn't attack. So the hunters, they all celebrate. They're like, yeah, it's not attacking anymore. We're good. And Sung thinks to himself, he's like, no, it's still more commandments. And as soon as they're getting all happy and cheered up, the statue gets up from his seat. And they're like, what? I thought it was over. And so the statue comes towards him, and it's coming with ill intent. And so the leader of the raid asks his Sung, he's like, hey man, what's the plan? And Sung's like, dude, I don't know. And so he's thinking to himself, okay, let's go back to the commandments. Praise God, praise God. And as he's thinking that, one of the other hunters, he's like, hey, I've been studying God and I've been studying the Bible. He's like, let me say a prayer. And as he's saying this prayer to this godlike statue, the statue approaches him. And they're like thinking, is it going to work? Is it going to work? And he's still praying. He's praying hard. And as he's praying, the statue puts his foot over him and smashes him to the ground, killing him and another hunter. And the godlike statue does the Joker grin again. He's like, yeah, I'm not the God you were praying to. And so the leader of the raid says, hey, let's split up. It's too dangerous to stay packed together. So one of the hunters who split up, he's thinking to himself, I can't die like this. I have a family. He's like, I got to get back home to my family. I can't die. And so as soon as he says these words, he stops and he doesn't notice that there's a statue behind him. And the statue splits him in half. The other hunters go crazy. They're running for their life. Sung's running with Johi and he's thinking to himself, what do I do? What do I do? He's trying to come up with a plan. And as he's running with Johi, he's thinking, what do I do? What do I do? And so he comes up with the plan. He sees that the statues have different things in their hands. So he thinks to himself, let's go to the ones with the instrument. And as they approach the statues with the instruments, they don't attack. So he says, everybody run to the statues with the instruments. They won't attack. And so as him and Johi approach a statue with an instrument, the instrument doesn't play because it's two of them. So he tells Johi to stay, and he goes towards another statue with an instrument. And as he's going through the other statue with the instrument, The God statue starts to follow him, and this is where it goes bad. The statue raises his foot and he's gonna squish him. And as he's bringing his foot down to smash him, he barely gets by. And as he tumbles over, he doesn't notice that another statue is behind him. Everybody yells for him to move, but he can't, it's too late. The statue hits him with the attack and it cuts off his leg. And so he's crawling to the statue with the instrument in his hand and he's saying to himself, not yet, not yet. But the godlike statue is coming towards him. And as the godlike statue is coming towards him, the godlike statue raises his feet and he smashes down on him. And as this pool of blood is showing that's coming from Sung, he's crawling towards the statue with the instrument in his hand. And he finally makes it. And he thinks to himself, so this is what he meant by praise, going through all this hell. And so the godlike statue goes back to his seat and sits down. And so Johi, the healer, comes over to him and she screams. She's like, hey, your leg is gone. She goes on to heal him. And so as this is going on, the leader's thinking to himself, man, this is hell. How could this happen? And one of the other hunters, he says, I feel sorry for you losing your arm, but he basically saying, bro, this is your fault. I mean, you made a bad decision as a leader. And as they're bickering and going back with each other, the statue raises an altar as he wants somebody to sacrifice theirself to him. Going back to the last commandment, those shall show their faith to God. And one of the selfish hunters, he thinks to himself, okay, we need to offer up something. And then he says, okay, he says, let the leader of the raid be the sacrifice. He's the reason why we in this. And as he puts his knife to the leader's neck, he says, you go, you be the sacrifice. And Sung's thinking to himself, he's like, no, we all decided to come in here. It's not his fault alone. But the leader agrees and he goes towards the altar. And as he's walking towards the altar, a flame sparks, but nothing happens. He asks Sung, hey, what do I need to do? And Sung tells the other hunters, he's like, hey, bring me towards the altar. I want to see it a little bit. And as him and the other hunters arrive at the altar, 3 more flames light up. And Sung's thinking to himself, he's figuring out a plan. And he tells the other 2 hunters to come to the altar. He's saying, the only way this will work is if all of us are here. And so as soon as the other 2 hunters enter the altar, all the flames go up. And so it starts. And as it starts, the statues open the door. They're saying to each other, they're like, can we leave? Can we leave? Is this a trap? What's going on? And in an instant, things change. The statue starts moving towards them. And they're all scared. They're like, what's going on? Are they going to attack us? And as these statues are coming to attack them, Sung has a plan. He has an idea. He says, everybody, if you do anything, do not take your eyes off them. It's just like a game. Do not take your eyes off them and they won't hurt us. And out of the blue, one of the hunters, she's like, man, I gotta get out of here. She takes off and she runs towards the door. She barely makes it out. Sung's thinking to himself, what is this? What is going on? Is this some type of way this statue is asking us to prove our faith to him? He's all confused. He don't know what's going on. And as he says that, another hunter goes towards the door. He's like, I'm out of here, man. And as the hunter leaves, Sung tells everybody left, he says, do not move. If you move, we're going to have blind spots and these statues are going to kill us. And they're like, what? What's going on? And he figures out that this is like a game. And he's like, just stay still, keep staring at these statues and we'll be able to survive this. One of the hunters, he's like thinking in his head, no, this is not going to work. So he says, hey man, you were the weakest one, but you managed to get us this far. And he was like, but I'm sorry, I gotta go. So he dashes out. He's like, I have a family to go back to. And so he leaves. And so Sung gets upset. He's like, man, we gotta survive this. And he's thinking to himself, what can I do? And so he comes up with a plan and he's like, he tells the leader to leave and he tells Johi to leave. And so as they leave, he's the final one on the altar. And he says to himself, good, I'm the only one that has to die. And so the statues, they come towards him and they're gonna kill him. And as these statues are coming towards him, he says, okay, if I'm going to die here, I'm going to take one of you with me. And so the statue, they go towards him. They begin to attack him. And he's thinking to himself, I've always been the weakest, but I've tried my hardest. He's like, man, this is so bad. This is so messed up. Why do I have to always go through this? I've tried my best. I tried to get stronger, but it didn't happen. And as he's saying this, these statues are ripping him apart. They're attacking him. They're cutting off his arms. This is the end for young Sung. And as the statue pierces him with the sword, he raises him over the altar and drops him onto it. Blood flows down the altar. This is the end. And as the statue goes to land the last blow to kill him, he thinks, okay, good, I'm gonna die. And he's like, wait, no, I don't wanna die. And as the statue's getting close to land his final blow, he says, if I had one more chance. And right as he says that, the final blue flame goes out. And I'm guessing he survived because a notification pops up and it tells him, you got a reward. Do you want to continue and live or do you want to die? And it gives him an option, yes or no. What? He survived? Oh my goodness, this is insane. And with that, that pretty much wraps up the episode. So guys, that wraps it up for episode 2. Be prepared for episode 3. Subscribe and like. Thank you. Appreciate it.